Well, thank you. It's good to be here. Just tell you a little bit, I just finished my first year of Office of Sheriff, a 4-year term, and but yet I've been in the department for 25 years, and I ran on being a guardian of the Constitution. And I'll tell you, being in a conservative Republican county, that went over well, and other candidates didn't have really, they had a hard time talking about that. And also, Sheriff Mack talked about some of the programs that, you know, as a sheriff, I have no constitutional or legal obligation to be concerned about recidivism among inmates. But, you know, as a public servant, it behooves us to be concerned about that revolving door of our jails. And so we're trying to make an impact on that. And that involves changing hearts and minds in some of these inmates. You know, we're not a bunch of thug huggers, but we're there to change hearts and minds and try to make an impact for the community, for the here and now, and maybe even for eternity. Well, I'll tell you, when I took office and I had all my officers sworn in, I made it a big event full of pomp and circumstance, and had the circuit court judge swear them in. You know, for so many years we had officers who would come in and in past administrations, and they'd go to the clerk's office, and the clerk would swear them in. That they'd use a pen with a flower attached to the end of it and sign their swearing-in papers, and it was just hocus pocus. And I wanted something that was more meaningful. And so one of the things that after the oath of office, and of course as we progress on in the year, I spent as much as $10,000 to bring someone in to train them on a 2-day course on the Constitution. Because you see, how can you defend your oath of office if you don't know what's in the Constitution? Because see, we don't teach the Constitution anymore. So we need to teach our officers what that means, because they don't really know what it means. And with oaths not meaning much today as marriages fail and so on, you know, you can't expect them really to mean that the oath of office mean a whole lot as well. So it's important that we educate our staff on that. Rome wasn't built in a day, so we got to bring them around as to what that oath of office means. Well, then on December 1st, just this last December, I received a phone call from an Amish farmer. In our county, we have 200,000 people living in our county. I have 200 employees. 70 of those are police officers, 90 are corrections staff, and I have 22 reserves and so on. It just a pretty good sized county for Indiana. And but it's a rural and urban county. It's a little bit of both. And we had an Amish farmer call me, which is unusual, and he said, "I'm having trouble with the federal government. Can you come talk to me?" I said, "Sure, I'll be over in a little bit," and met at his farm. And obviously when I pulled up, it was a dairy farm. And so I said, "Tell me what the problem is." Sat down at his kitchen table, and he showed me a bunch of documents, how the FDA had been to his farm just in 2011 alone, been there several times to inspect it. And the FDA inspected the farm, found nothing wrong. It was a clean operation. His milk was the milk that he was milking there was very good, and so on. But his problem from the federal government's viewpoint is that he was selling this raw milk. And this Amish farmer had coordinated with co-ops in Illinois and Michigan. Of course, we're crossing state lines now, you see. And these people who belong to these co-ops, I don't know, they spend $30 or $50 to join a co-op, and then they know they're getting these fresh ingredients, you know, the fresh stuff that's out there, and including raw milk. And they know that if there's any hazards associated with that, they know all that already. Well, this Amishman, which surprisingly to me, after about the 3rd or 4th time the FDA inspectors come, he said, "I don't want you here anymore." And then around the 1st of December, he got subpoenaed to a grand jury in Detroit. And they told him he had to appear in person and bring all of his documents about production with him. Well, being that Detroit is outside of Elkhart County, I said, "Well, you're going to have to decide how you're going to handle that." whether you're going to appear or plead the fifth or whatever you're going to do. But I said, if you're willing, I said, what I'm about to do could open up a hornet's nest. Are you willing to go along with that? And he said, yes, I'm willing to go along with that. I said, very good. I'll take care of it, and I will protect you here in Elkhart County while you're in Elkhart County. I said, I may not be able to do anything when I get into Michigan, but I said, when you're in Elkhart County, I can take a stand on that. So I had a Department of Justice trial attorney's name that had sent him the subpoena, and this is the fun part. This is where I sent off an email to the Department of Justice trial attorney, and I said, I understand that there's this, you subpoenaed Mr. Hostetler to appear in front of a grand jury, and I understand that you've sent the FDA out here, and they've had several successful inspections and a couple of unsuccessful inspections because the farmer refused. And I said, I just want you to know just one thing, that if you come back without a warrant based on probable cause, signed by a judge, that I will have you removed from the property or I'll arrest you for trespass. Well, as you might have guessed, the trial attorney didn't take to that very well. And so he sent me off a dissertation letter and basically said that, of course, I could be arrested and imprisoned for refusing an FDA inspection or preventing it. And he also spouted the supremacy clause and how anything that the federal government does basically overrules anything that the state and local is. Well, I disagreed, and I wrote him back and I said, well, he wanted to speak to my county attorney because, I wasn't good enough. So I said, well, I run the office of sheriff, not my county attorney, all right? And so I said, I disagree on the supremacy clause because only if it's pursuant to the Constitution is it supreme. And so and of course, none of that is constitutional that they're doing. So anyhow, he sent it back, and I said my original email stands. Well, that was Friday. On Tuesday, Mr. Hostetler, the farmer, got a certified letter from the Department of Justice and said, we're withdrawing the subpoena. Now, I think it's a little presumptuous for myself or even us to suggest that anything I did might have made the Department of Justice do that, because we don't really know that for sure, but you can make your own judgment on that. Now, the concern, as I grew up in law enforcement and I became sheriff, I want to protect citizens like Mr. Hostetler, who I have no political, there's no political advantage because the Amish don't even vote, which is a travesty because they would have a big impact on the conservative side of America. But when I saw things like Waco and Ruby Ridge and Hurricane Katrina gun grab, I'm telling you, as sheriff of Elkhart County, Indiana, that stuff's not going to happen in my county.